One day, a mother was in panic because her little boy swallowed a coin. Quick, quick, she told her husband, please call the doctor. Then the husband said, we do not need a doctor. Let's just call the priest instead. Then the mother says, why? Is our boy going to die? And the husband said, no. But our parish priest has his way of getting money out of anybody. This was sent to me. To avoid self-incrimination, I will not make any more comments. I'll just leave it at that. The gospel this Sunday, dear friends, is all about a coin. You see it on your screens. Jesus is holding it. Jesus said to his critics, the Herodians and the Pharisees, show me a coin. And the coin was a Roman coin, used to pay taxes to the emperor. Jesus made this request because he was asked the question, is it lawful to pay the census tax to Caesar or not? Jesus was quick to notice the malice behind this very simple question. That is why he retorted, why are you testing me, you hypocrites? He called them hypocrites because they were actually trying to trap him. If he answers yes, then they will tell the people that Jesus is a supporter of the Roman Empire. If he answers no, then they will accuse him of sedition, and then they will report him to the Roman authorities, and he will be put in prison. He also called them hypocrites because it is not proper for the Jews, especially the Pharisees, to have in their possession a Roman coin. For such would be an acknowledgement of Roman power over the Jewish people. Added to that, the coin has the blasphemous words inscribed on it, Tiberius Caesar, son of the divine Augustus. Yet when he was asked for a coin, the Pharisees readily gave him one. In fact, it is publicly known that they are already paying taxes to the emperor. They laid a trap for Jesus, but he eluded it by masterfully saying, then repay to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and to God what belongs to God. This statement, short as it is, spells out a guiding principle for you and for me. We cannot deny the fact that we are still in this world. At the same time, we should not also forget that we do not belong to this world because our citizenship is in heaven. While we are of this world, we abide by the principles of social life. No man is an island. We live with others in society. We should be useful and healthy members of society. And for a society to be able to live in peace and harmony, there should be norms, there should be laws that must be followed for the common good and the protection of human rights. In this regard, a legitimate authority is necessary to implement the laws and to lead and unite the people. That is the meaning of the first part that Jesus said, his statement, repay to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. All of us have duties and obligations as members of society, like for instance, faithfulness, fidelity to our country, honest public service, payment of taxes, respect for people, for persons in authority, and the defense of basic human rights, just among many others of our duties and obligations. Repay to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. But I don't think we have any problem with this. You know why? Because we are all law-abiding citizens. Because if we're not, then all of us are not here right now. All of us are in jail. The second part I think, is the more difficult and the more challenging one. Give to God what belongs to God. Give to God what belongs to God. Let's do a little exercise here. Raise both of your hands and close your fist. Okay? I know some of you are stronger than others. Okay, close them tighter. Okay? At the count of 3, close them tighter. 1, 2, tighter. And at the count of 3, close them tightest. 1, 2, tightest. All right? At the count of 3, open up. Release. 1, 2. Now tell me, which is easier? Tight-fisted or open-handed? Aha. Good. Let's think about that as we talk about give to God what belongs to God. So what belongs to God? Let's answer that question. Everything. Everything comes from Him, so we ought to give everything back to Him. Everything comes from Him. He was asked a question. What is the first commandment or the greatest commandment? What is the greatest commandment? And he answered it this way. The first is this: Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God is the Lord alone. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul, and with all your strength. He's not talking about 10% here, is he? He's not talking about 50% here, is he? He's talking about all your mind, all your soul, all your heart, all your strength. He's talking about all. A-L-L. Therefore, if God brings and gives us everything, we ought to give Him back everything. That's justice, plain and simple. And so we ask ourselves, am I ready and willing to give everything to God? That's a hard question. The first Filipino saint, Saint Lorenzo Ruiz de Manila, he was martyred. He was a married layman, a lowly sacristan in the church. He joined the missionaries in Japan, and there they were captured and they were tortured. Under the penalty of death, they were ordered to renounce their faith. And Lorenzo had these heroic words to say, I am a Christian. If I had 1,000 lives, I will offer them all to God. I am a Christian. If I had 1,000 lives, I will offer them all to God. Receiving all, giving all. An old man won the lottery, and his family was quite worried about him, so they asked the priest his help to help tell him that he was a lottery winner. And so the priest went to the old man and he said, you know, what if you win $1 million? What would you do? And the reason why the family didn't want to tell him is because they were afraid that he would have a heart attack. So the priest said, what would you do if you won $1 million? And the old man said, I would give half of it to you and half of it to your church. And the priest had the heart attack. I'm waiting. I don't want to wait for a heart attack. I can wait, but not for a heart attack. God is generous to us. He gives us everything. You know, when I was a child, my parents would bring us to church on Saturday evening. And the house would just be filled with activity because all the three of us will be scrambling and ready to go to church. And then my mom would give me a coin to put in the collection. Later on, I realized that, at least now, I realize that my parents are one of the most generous people in the world because they gave their son to the church as a priest. God gives us everything, whatever we have. And if we're trying to remember and perhaps forgetting how to be generous, do the exercise again. Because it's easy to take. Some of us, a lot of us, would rather take than give. Because it's easy to do. Oh, I'll take this, I'll take that. And that is why the question, are you ready to follow and give everything to God? That's a hard question. And if you can't answer that right now, that's okay. Tell God about it. Ask Him to help you. Ask Him to work with you because He is the way, the truth, and the life. He showed us the way, the truth, and the life. Have Him work with you about generosity, about being humble. If you're finding it hard to be generous, ask Him. Remember, when Christ was crucified, He was not crucified with His fists closed and tight. He was crucified with hands wide open. That's why those nails went through. Just tells us how generous He is to us and how He gives us everything. Give to God what belongs to God. Everything. And again, if you're having a hard time with that, that's why you're here. That's why we all are here. To ask God to help us. How generous are we to God? Sometimes God has to compete with many of our things and events in life. Sometimes He has to be the bottom list, isn't it? How generous are we to a God who is generous to all of us, who gives us everything? So God, help me. Jesus, help me give all, for you gave your all to me. Give to God what belongs to God. Everything. Everything. Amen.